Oh my gosh, get this stupid thing off of here. Okay, so you updated your table of contents. So we're on the outside of the foldable right now. The outside of the foldable is middle school, so let's quickly go over middle school to make sure you remember it. I would not bother working ahead. You're all stuck here anyways, and we'll do the whole thing together pretty much. Okay, so what do we remember about Pythagorean theorem? What is the Pythagorean theorem? A squared plus b squared equals c squared. He's right here. Remember, you might want to have some colored pencils or something to highlight important stuff, so that way when you study from this later, certain things pop out at you. Anything else we remember about Pythagorean theorem? The hypotenuse. Where's the hypotenuse at? It is the longest. This is our hypotenuse, right? He is our longest side. He's also the side that's opposite of the right angle. So wherever you find the right angle, you've got to go opposite. He's going to be the side opposite the right angle. He's the side opposite the right angle. Pythagorean theorem only works on what kind of triangles? Only works on right triangles. So that means you need to have a 90-degree angle to use it. And that's what you learned in middle school. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. C is the longest side, the hypotenuse. He's opposite the right angle. And you can only use this on right angles. Please make sure your phone is locked up. All right, scrolling. Good on that? Okay, the first two examples on the front are middle school examples. So here's our first picture. Is he a right triangle? Yeah? I recommend you find your right triangle. I recommend you go opposite him. So go straight across opposite. What does this side have to be? The A, the B, or the C? He has to be the C. Label him first so you don't ever mess that one up. A and B could be either one you want. Who do you want to be A? 6. Okay, let's call him A. And that means that 8 has to be our B. All the time in math, science, anything, you should always list your formula first. So your first step should be the formula you're using. So we are going to be using Pythagorean theorem because we have a right triangle. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. And then we can sub in stuff we know. Probably you're going to write it underneath it. I'm just writing it next to it because if I go under, then people in the back can never see if I write low on the board. Okay, so what do we get when we sub in here? 6 squared plus 8 squared equals c squared. And if you want to change that c to an x squared, that's totally fine. Bless you. Okay, we just got to solve this. Let's do a little math. What do we got? 6 squared is what? 36. Plus 8 squared is 64. Equals c squared. 100 equals c squared. I would fill this all out now. You don't want to have to go back and fill it all out by yourself later. That's weird. What do we do that now? We don't divide. Who remembers how do you get rid of a squared? You square root. So we have to take the square root of both sides. Remember, to undo a square, you square root. To undo a square root, you square. How do we put this in our calculator? Pick up your calculator. Make sure you know how to do this on these calculators. Where's it at? Yes. Yeah. You know how to use it. You hit second and then the x squared button and then 100, right? And what do you get? Second. You get 10? Everyone got 10? So 10 is equal to C. All the time after you do that, I would put it back in your picture and see if it makes sense. So I'm going to put the 10 back in my picture. And let's look at our picture and see if this makes sense. And obviously this is going to be our x value, even though we've been calling him C. He's really x, right? Does it make sense to have a triangle that is 6 and 8 and 10? Is the longest side opposite the right angle? 10. So it looks pretty legit, right? Now if you had a 6 and an 8 and you had 100, does that make sense? Can you have two little 6 and an 8 side and then a 100 side attaching to make a triangle? Impossible. Doesn't even make sense, right? Okay. Good on that? Okay, let's do the second middle school example. Okay, do we have a right triangle? Okay, so where's our right angle? Find him first. Here he is. And then what? Where's C? Across from there. So go across, and this is a C. If you just find the right angle and make the little arrow and put the C, you don't ever get it wrong, right? So just take that little A to B set, and then you're safe. A and B don't matter. Who would you like? 12 is A, and we're going to make this Y be our C. I mean B, my bad. Thank you. That's our B. So we got A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Plug those in. Hide your phones. So what do we got here? 12 squared plus B squared or Y squared, whatever you want to call him, equals 13 squared. Okay. Do me some math. What do we got? 12 squared is what? 144? Plus B squared equals 169? Now what? Minus 144 on both sides? And we get B squared is 25. Would it be okay if this side was 25 long? No, because the side opposite is a 13 and he has to be the biggest. So you would know you're not done yet, right? What do we got to do? Square root both sides. And so we're going to get B is equal to 5. Let's put that in our picture. So Y is 5. Let's see if that makes sense. Look okay? Yeah? All right. That was middle school. Open up. Welcome to high school. Okay, so example 1 on the inside says we want to find the length of AC. So where's AC in our pic? It's that diagonal line, right? So AC is this guy right here. So we don't have any numbers. First thing, do we have a right triangle? That doesn't, there's no box there. How do you know it's a right triangle? Because what? We think it's a right triangle. Why do you know that? It lines up with, if you have a horizontal and vertical on a grid, clearly that has to be at 90 degrees. So this is a 90-degree angle, even though he is not marked, because this is a horizontal and a vertical line meeting on our graph. So we do have a right triangle, so we can do Pythagorean theorem if we have some side lengths. Do we have any side lengths? Can you find any of them? Which ones can you find? Can I find A to B? Yeah, because he's horizontal, so you can count bubbles. please count bubbles so you don't jack it up, okay? Put your pen down and do me some bubbles. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is 5. I'm sick of you guys looking at a graph and being like, 6? I'm like, come on, for the love of God. It's embarrassing when you just count wrong. Okay, any other side we can find? B to C. How many bubbles? Okay, can I count diagonal bubbles? No. Write yourself a note. Never count diagonal bubbles when we're trying to find length. No diagonal bubbles. Diagonals, all bubbles. Don't do it. When we do reflections over a line y equals x, that's the only time we're allowed to count diagonal, and it's not even just to get distance, just to find out, to make things like a mirror image. So we're not going to count those. Instead, we're going to see the right triangle. You see who A, B, and C have to be. Okay, so let's label them A, B, and C so that we can do Pythagorean theorem on this guy. So, which one do I start with? Start with C. Where's C at? Find your right box, go across, and put your C there. That guy is C. Who would you like A and B to be? A is 5. That's fine. And B is 3. That's fine. Go ahead, do your Pythagorean theorem. Go ahead, do the whole thing. If you get a decimal, just go standard. If they don't tell you in the directions, just round to the 100th place. Evan, you all right? Nope. We're on the inside. Are you going to be okay? Do you need to go to the nurse or something? Okay, then you have to sit up. Try to open this little bowl. And move on to the one more on. I believe in you. You want to walk around a little bit? Get a drink, something? Okay, do that. Is there anyone in the hallway to stop you? Okay, so we have 5 squared plus 3 squared equals c squared. So you had 25 plus 9 equals c squared. And then you had what? 34 equals c squared. And then you took the square root and you got c to equal what? 5.83. Now remember, if you round, do the squiggly equal sign, which means approximately. 5.83. What was the number after the 3? 0, so we don't need to shove the 3, right? Okay, so that is in our picture. I'm going to go ahead and put it over here, 5.83. And let's see, does that look like it's about 5 to 6 boxes long? Yeah, because this was 5. That looks a little bit longer. Makes sense, right? Always make sure it makes sense. Questions on that one? You cool with that one? Okay, next one's going to have a lot of steps. You ready for it? Yay! Okay, here we go. Beep, 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 beep. All right. What do we got to do for this guy? Cry? Okay, this is actually an OST release question. So this is a question they have put on the OST before. And wait and see how long it takes us to do. Because on OST, they give you approximately 4 minutes per problem. This definitely takes longer than 4 minutes. But that's okay, because there's going to be some that take less. But just letting you know, this is what they make you do, okay? You're not going to get the little nice pretty ones on the front of your foldable, right? Okay, it says we want to find the perimeter and the area of triangle ABC. How many triangles do you see in that picture? 2. Look again. There's 3. Because there's the little guy on the left. I'm sorry, little guy on the right, little guy, medium guy on the right, and then there's the whole guy, right? Okay, so there are 3. So make sure you have 3 colors Which, I'm going to do pink for my first color. So we want the area of triangle ABC. So where's ABC? So start on A, to B, to C. So, and it says triangle, so you got to make a triangle out of it. So they're talking about this big pink guy, right? That's who we're looking for the perimeter of and the area of. That pink guy. So what is perimeter again? The distance all the way around, right? So look at this pink guy. Do I have all the numbers to go around the outside of this? What do I have? I have a 7, then I have a 3, then I have a 5. Do I have that guy? No. So I can't find perimeter yet. Area. What do I need to find the area of that triangle? What's the formula for the area of a triangle? 1/2 times base times height. You should know that by now. That should not be confusing to you. 1/2 base times height. So in that pink triangle that I traced, do I have a base? How long is the base of that whole pink triangle? 10. Do I have a height? Is 5 the height? So if you were to measure my height, would you put the tape measure here and go down diagonally? So can the 5 be the height? No. Where's the height of this thing? It's right here. Remember, when you measure height, it has to be straight up from the ground. Nobody measures sideways, right? You always go straight up from the ground. So this right here going up and down is the height, and I don't have it. So right now, I can't find the perimeter, and I can't find the area. I need to find some missing pieces before I do that. So that means I'm probably going to have to deal with one of the smaller triangles. So look at the 2 smaller guys. Which one gives me some information I might be able to use? That little guy on the right? Because why are you picking him? It has more numbers. Okay, so I'm going to color him gray. So we're talking this little guy over here. And you picked him because he has a 3 and a 5. So we have 2 of the 3 sides, which means, is he a right triangle? Because he has a box in the corner. So he's a right triangle. So can we get ABC of this little gray guy? Go right across from your right triangle. What side is this then? C. Who do you want to be A and B? We're not even looking at the 7. We're looking at the gray triangle. We're not looking over here. So this is going to be A? Sure. And this is our B? Remember, we're only looking at this gray guy right now. Gray guy. It is kind of gray. I don't know. What color does it look? Oh. That was blue. This is kind of... Okay, let's do A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Plug in your stuff. Okay, what do we have here? 3 squared plus B squared equals 5 squared? Okay. Go ahead, solve him. Finish? Almost. Did you get B as 4? So you get B squared is 16. Is that what you guys got? Square root of both sides, you get B is 4? Okay, that means I could put that in my picture. Let's see if 4 makes sense for that little gray triangle. What are his side lengths? 3, 4, and 5. And 5 is the biggest, opposite. So he looks good, right? Okay, do we have enough stuff to find the area or perimeter yet? We can find the area if we want now. You want to just go ahead and find the area? Okay, so let's go ahead and do the area. So we know that the area was 1/2 times the base times the height, right? And what is our base? Base is 10. And height is 4. So we have to do 1/2 times base times height. Yeah, and you know how to do that in your head easy? Think of 1/2 of 10. What do you got? 5 times 4, 20. So we know it's 20. And I don't think there's any unit on here, so we don't know if it's feet or miles or inches or what. So let's just leave A is 20. That's our area. Can we find the perimeter yet? No, because we don't have all the sides all the way around. What are we still missing? This AB over here, right? So that means we're going to have to, do we have any other right triangles though? Is this triangle over here a right triangle? Yes. Why? Because there's no box. How do you know? Okay, so if we look across here, this has to be 180, right? Because it makes a straight flat line. So that means that this other side, I'm going to go green, this side also has to be, because we know this whole thing is 180, right? So if one side's 90, the other side has to be 90. So this guy over here is also a right triangle. I'm going to color him green, okay? That's this guy we're talking about over here. See him? All right. So what do we got going on? He's a right triangle, so can we get ABC? Okay, who's C then? This is our right angle. So we got to go opposite. This is our C. Who do you want A and B to be? A can be 7. Might as well, because this side's already labeled B from the other picture. So that 4 is the B, right? Okay, go ahead, do Pythagorean theorem again. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So we have what? 7 squared plus 4 squared. I go so far? 49 plus 16. What's that? What? So 65 equals C squared. Square roots. So C is approximately what? 8.06. So this side we think is 8.06. Does that make sense? Because we have a side of 7 and a side of 4 and a side of 8. Looks good to me. Can we find a perimeter now? Perimeter is all the way around, not in the middle though, right? Okay, all the way around. Perimeter equals, which way you want to go? Across the bottom first? Sure. Okay, how much is it across the bottom? 10. And then up here is plus what? 5 plus 8.06. That's my distance around. You don't need to go down the middle, right? Okay, so that is a 10 plus a 5 plus an 8.06. And that equals 23.06. That is our perimeter. Took more than 4 minutes, right? I don't think it's really that super difficult though. But you have to do like one little piece at a time, and you can't assume that you're just gonna see a question and know the answer. And sometimes they'll even do a multiple choice, and you'll just like be like, oh, this is the answer, and you're like, okay, for real, so you gotta do Pythagorean theorem twice, and then do area and perimeter, right? Cool. Got all that? Did you get super extra on your notes? They better be beautiful. That's all I have to say. If you don't have any colors, terrible F. All right, number 3. Jordan's on his way to Mackenzie's house, but needs to stop for some eggs. Which store should Jordan go to so that he arrives at Mackenzie's taking the shorter route? Okay, now you might be able to tell by looking at it, but we're going to actually do the math so you know how to do it when you have complicated stuff. Okay, so where's Jordan at? You see where he is? Jordan is down here, and Mackenzie is up here. Jordan can either go to Aldi's and get the eggs and go to Mackenzie's, or Jordan can go to Giant Eagle and get the eggs and go to Mackenzie's. So basically we need to figure out the length of all of these blue lines, yeah? Are there any you could just find? Which ones can you just find without doing any hard work? Jordan to Aldi's. Okay, go ahead and do Jordan to Aldi's. But the eggs might be cheaper. They will be cheaper at Aldi's than at Giant Eagle. But you do have to put a quarter, and they don't give you a bag either. And it may or may not be expired. You never know. What? I know. Unless you're nice and there's some old lady coming up and you just give her your card. No. Okay. Noted. You try to not make eye contact like you didn't see them, and you just keep walking with your quarterback. Okay, how far from Jordan to Aldi's? 4 bubbles. And what else can we do? Jordan to Giant Eagle is how much? 6 bubbles. We did not count those wrong, correct? Okay, now we cannot count bubbles going from Aldi's to Mackenzie's or from Giant Eagle to Mackenzie's. And there are no triangles currently in this picture. There's only one 4-sided quadrilateral, right? But you can make fake triangles. So which side do you want to do first? Aldi's to Mackenzie or Giant Eagle to Mackenzie? Aldi's. Okay, we're going to do this side up here. So get a color. And let's draw this little piece right here, because we cannot count diagonal bubbles. But we're going to make a right triangle that has that green line as the hypotenuse. Can anyone envision where the right triangle is so that this green line will be one of his sides? Between here and here, how do we make this be a side of a triangle? Make a fake triangle. Watch me, I will make one. You see him? Is he a right triangle? Could we find the lengths of those 2 dotted sides? And then we could do Pythagorean theorem? Is there another one I could have drawn? Could I have drawn across here to there and then gone up and made a right triangle? I could have also done that. See, I could do that green guy, or I could do this one. Those are the only 2 I could make for that, this. I could use this right triangle up here, or this orange one down here. I'm just going to erase so we don't. So definitely get a color, though, and draw your fake triangle so that you know what you're doing. Now, this is our fake triangle we're dealing with right now. Here's my right angle. So this right here is fake news. Fake news right here. It's fake news. He's not part of our picture. We just drew him in there fake. Okay, what side is this solid green guy? He has to be C, which means the other 2 sides are A and B. Doesn't matter which. I'll call this guy A and this guy B. What? Somebody have some lengths? Did anybody do some counting already? 3 and 8. Okay. Go ahead, do your Pythagorean theorem. Huh? 8.5. Do me to the hundredth place. This was 9 and this was 64, right? And what'd you get? What? 73. Okay, and then you just square root. 8 point what? 54. 8.54. Are you guys cool? 8.54. What was after the 4? Okay, then we don't shove. If we said round to the tenths, but we're just going to round everything to the hundredths unless they tell us something else. 8.54 is that length, right? So now can we figure out how far it is to go from Jordan's to Aldi's to get the eggs and go to Mackenzie's? Okay, so how far is it from Jordan's? If we went to Aldi's, we'd be going 4 plus 8.54. So what would be the distance? 12.54. Okay, miles or whatever unit it is. All right. Okay, we need to figure out the giant eagle route. Okay, so we need to figure out this orange piece, right? Okay, does anyone see how you can make a right triangle with that orange being the diagonal? Can you see it? Over 2. Could I go over 2 and up here? That will make me a nice right triangle. 2 and you said this is 7? Yeah. 2 and 7. Do you guys agree? Okay, are you doing Pythagorean theorem again? A squared plus b squared equals c squared. Who's a, b, c in this guy? 2 is A, sure. What's the 7? B, because this side has to be the C, right? The side opposite the right angle. So we have 2 squared plus 7 squared equals C squared. So what do we got here? 4 plus 49 equals C squared. What do we got? 53 equals C squared, and we take the square root of both sides. So we get what? C is approximately 7.28. Okay, let's put that in our picture. 7.28. That means giant eagle. So if they were to go to giant eagle, that would be here 6 plus 7.28. So that'd be 6 plus a 7.28. And what do we get? 13.28. So should we go to Aldi's or Giant Eagle? Aldi's. But if we're just getting eggs, we actually don't need a cart, so we won't have to spend our quarter. Who gets a cart for one thing of eggs? All right, this is going to be glued on page, what did we put in our table of contents? Page 14. Glue on page 14.